Hey, New York City, how are you? Wow. Why the fuck is no one else in the pool except for these three lovely ladies dangling their feet? I'm very disappointed in this New York energy, folks. Someone needs to get in this fucking pool. Well, I'll deeply consider it after I'm done with this thing. All right. So you gonna ask me some questions, or what are we doing?
All right, yeah. So take a seat. We're going to do a fireside chat. So, when I started Crypto Mondays, January 8th, 2018, I started a meetup. I just wanted to hang with other people who were as passionate as me about crypto. And we had no speakers because most of the time there are people speaking at a meetup. I really wish they'd shut the fuck up. But it turns out you get a lot more people at a meetup if you have somebody speak. So tonight I bring you Andrew Yang.
Thank you, New York. It's great to be here with you as both your president and your mayor, the first person to hold both those jobs simultaneously. Still making time for Crypto Mondays, though.
All right, rock and roll. So Crypto Mondays, it's crypto. I just saw him speak at Consensus. Obviously, he's going around. He has seen the crypto light. But why don't you tell us, how did you see the crypto light? What was your path to crypto?
First, I wouldn't put it that way. But second, I ran for president in 2018 on an idea called universal basic income. You all remember that? And I found that the vast majority of people who are in the crypto space...
I'd be interested. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. It's last time. How many people here have heard of universal basic income?
Heard of it, better be all of you. And then for it, it'd be some, hopefully, significant proportion. So I found that 80% plus of the folks in crypto were pro-universal basic income, in large part because they had seen these enterprises and projects rise out of nowhere. And they had this sense of optimism and possibility that was like a perfect fit with my campaign. So at this point, I started realizing, it's like, wow, we got to work hand in glove. It's one reason why I started Lobby 3 DAO and Golden DAO to try to energize the Web3 community towards alleviating poverty, which I see is totally unnecessary in our time.
So,
where some people do all the work and some people just chill out. You know what I mean? That's human nature, and it's cool. I'm excited about DAOs because I think they can be the future of organizations, the future of governance. I mean, if you look up right now at our political system, you have these two decrepit political parties that aren't truly representative of the vast majority of us. And so the question is, how can you run significant projects at scale with people stepping up and taking ownership, with people using their expertise and skills? And so to me, a DAO can be an emblem of the future of liquid democracy, where people are able to participate in real time as opposed to having these 2 4-year cycles that are both too long and too short simultaneously. You know what I mean? Like they're too short in the sense that a lot of these legislators really just go from running to running again immediately, but they're also too long in that you can't actually provide meaningful feedback during the cycle. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if you had a big decision 6 months in. It's like, how do you let that person know? It's like, maybe you write letters, you call, which at this point we know is like not exactly effective. But imagine if you could all participate on the blockchain and just provide input in real time. It's like, hey, we have a pretty big decision. You want to let us know what you think and be able to vote securely on your smartphone. We should be able to vote on our smartphones, people. I mean, that technology is here with us now. It's just that our political system hasn't caught up.
Are you seeing, when you look out there, are you seeing anybody doing anything that's of interest? Wow, that's interesting, that's interesting.
Well, I'm doing something I think is very interesting.
Well, okay, let's talk about the Forward Party. I was going to ease into that, but...
No, I appreciate it, Lou. So, how many percent of Americans who think we need more than 2 major parties? Let's try that. Yeah, and I'd say that folks in Web3 are very natural aligned because you tend to be independent, maybe a little bit libertarian. And so you look at what's happening in terms of building the next generation of the internet or the next generation of financial services, and then you look at American politics and think like, wow, these guys seem kind of stuck in the past. DC is sort of on a 20 to 30 year tape delay, you know what I mean?
So, you know, people are here. You got an opportunity, right? Spread the word. What is the word that you're spreading?
Oh, the word that I'm spreading is that we deserve real choices in this country. That right now we have two pretend choices in a pseudo democracy. It's a fraud at this point, and so we have to. So here's how we change this.
Hey,
no, he's asking how we change it, and he's right, because I'm a man of action, a man of plans. So you're not going to believe this, but in half the states in the country, if a majority of citizens in that state say yes to a ballot initiative, you switch from closed party primaries, which shut out 85% of voters, to nonpartisan open primaries, combined with something called ranked choice voting, where anyone can vote for anyone of any party with no spoiler effect. How does that sound to you all?
Awesome.
And if that sounds too good to be true, it just happened in Alaska in 2020. It's real in Alaska. It's on the ballot in Nevada, on the ballot in Missouri. It's going to be on the ballot in more and more states. We do not have to be stuck in this archaic 19th century two-party system any longer than we choose to be. We can choose something different for ourselves. What do you all?
Okay, so that's a message. Now the people are like, fuck, that guy's really smart. I want to help him. What can they do?
Just go to forwardparty.com. You can sign up. You can just be on the mailing list and be part of this political revolution that's hopefully going to invigorate our democracy to the 21st century and build, I'm happy to say, a positive unifying movement that we can actually be proud of, as opposed to saying we hate this half of Americans, we hate that half of Americans. I don't hate anybody. I don't know about the rest of y'all.
You know, and that's awesome. But if they wanted to even do more than that, like how can they get more involved? What are the...
Wow, it's even deeper. Or the Forward Party. Practical regulation. We started something called Lobby 3 DAO. It's at lobby3.xyz, I believe. I should check that shit. But you can join us at Lobby 3, and what we're doing is we're taking the case to regulators and legislators and policymakers that blockchain's a big part of the future, that we need to have the U.S. be the home to this innovation and next generation of tools, or else all of it, the energy is going to go offshore. I don't know about the rest of you, but I want to keep that right here in the U.S. of A. We have to be competing for the future.
Undoubtedly. And when you think about crypto, did you have a chance to read the crypto legislation put forward by, some of the people in office?
All right, so those of you who are I'm totally into this stuff. So I started a lobbying firm based on an Onion article in 2011. So the Onion article in 2011 said the American people hire their own lobbyists to fight for our interests on Capitol Hill, and there's a picture of a guy in a suit being like, now they'll take us seriously. I thought that was the funniest article ever, but I also thought it was a pretty good idea. I was like, oh, we should totally hire our own lobbyist. So I hired about a dozen lobbyists 2 years ago to fight for cash relief during COVID, for the enhanced child tax credit. And right now we're working with Cynthia Lummis, who's the senator out of Wyoming, who's very, very pro-crypto. Some of you know Cynthia Lummis. Brand is a reasonable voice on this. She's actually one of the better Democrats, in part because she represents New York, which is one of the early adopters to crypto. So this legislation, as a starting point, is very promising. It has to go through 6 committees and may or may not end up like this, but it's a very good starting point.
And were there,
the Lummis
the biggest thing in crypto, right?
Yeah,
because when everything cratered, stable coins stayed the same.
So the Lummis-Gillibrand bill is very nuanced in that it wants to treat different categories of crypto in different ways from a regulatory framework, and I think that's very appropriate.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Washington do its thing, and from that standpoint, so Crypto Mondays is we're in 77 cities around the world, and one of the most awesome ones is Crypto Mondays Greenwich, and recently they had Jerry Brito, who is the head of Coin Center, which is our voice, since 2011. Now there are lots of voices, but really the original voice since 2011. Have you had
him on helping to kick off such an awesome, thriving community that's spreading the sense of connectivity to 77 communities around the world, including New York City. I mean, what a great gathering for NFT NYC.
Yeah, it is. Now I assume you're gonna spend some time here. You go around to all of the conferences, which is awesome. What are you looking forward to here?
Over here is just connecting with people. How many of you all are from New York City? Raise your hands on that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you all, but I miss getting together in an environment like this. It's been a couple of summers, am I right? I mean, it wasn't last summer, it wasn't the summer before that. So I love the metaverse. Real life is what makes New York City special. So, you know, it's just a joy to be able to get together in groups like this again.
Undoubtedly.
NFTs.
So what are your favorite projects?
So the project I haven't spoken much about is something called Golden DAO. It's a community for API creators, builders. It's been a tough time for a lot of Asian Americans around the country, and so being able to uplift those organizations and activists is something I'm really proud of. They're either very blue or very red.